best thing about this morning was hearing the history of RE/MAX and really understanding the roots of where we come from as an organization, and then the progress.
I mean, all of us in the beginning were very much fledgling people. I was 26 years old when I started. I didn't come into this with a lot of money or a lot of experience, a lot of track record, but I think all of us had basic hunger, basic passion, and I think we wanted to fundamentally change the real estate business.
In the beginning, when we started with RE/MAX, nobody knew the brand. No one had ever heard of RE/MAX before, but that really didn't slow us down. We just had a story to tell.
The concept of owning your own business in a red, white, and blue sign with a balloon appealed to New Englanders.
We've got so much going for us, and it's nice to hear it here and see it here, and just see 1,000 to 1,200 people that are just laughing and talking and just really getting inspired by RE/MAX.
Education, critical, vital, and very inspirational.
Well, it keeps your spirits up and it keeps you motivated, it gets your plugs recharged.
I chose RE/MAX because they're the best. They're the largest, they have the best reputation, they have great standards, they have great agents, they expect the best out of their agents.
If you hang out with the best possible people, then you're going to be stretched to be your best also.
I remember spending lots of my life working 12, 14-hour days as we crisscrossed the region, whether we were in Vermont or New Hampshire, Rhode Island, wherever we might have been.
I believed in the concept. When I learned about it, mostly from Frank and Walter, I was very enthused. Then I started off and running, opening the first office here in Newport. And then I started to look to people throughout the state of Rhode Island that I felt would be really good managing partners. And the Iannacilis really were my first broker recruits.
So he got my attention, we had some discussion, and we jumped into it very quickly.
We felt as a company that in order to compete, we needed to have a national name, we needed to have a national presence, we needed to have some tools, the things that agents expected if we were going to be able to be successful. And unfortunately, it meant giving up the family name, but we felt that RE/MAX was something very different. It was not like any other franchise that we were familiar with. No one else had anything like that as a business model, and that's what we wanted to be.
Coming from RE/MAX of Connecticut to RE/MAX of New England, it is like going from a community college, great strength, great beginning, to a 4-year university. I wanted our company to be known as a company of professionals. Completely different image than real estate had back then.
When we were starting the business here in New England, we were 500 or 1,000 miles away from Denver in the West. So those were pretty lonely times. I couldn't rely on other people around us, so we had to dig and work by ourselves and come up with innovative ideas. I can't pretend to say that I had those innovative ideas. They came from our broker owners and our sales associates. Where do we advertise better? Where do we advertise stronger? How do we make sure that our brand emerges? How do we fight against people who have been around since the 1950s?
But there was a whole lot of excitement. I mean, RE/MAX was new, and the energy behind it, it was really a pursuit of synergy. Here we were, a small company in a local town of 12,000 people, and suddenly we're part of a huge network, and there was a chemistry that just drew you in.
There was a lot of support in the beginning, and when offices would open anywhere in New England, the entire region would show up. And even though we may have at the time had 2 or 3 agents, we'd all get in one car and we'd drive and support one another, and that was very important.
I remember those early days as tentative step days. We thought we were big when we got to 60 people, and then 100 people, and then 600 people. And I remember a meeting at Copley Square Marriott, and we had 1,000 people in the room, and we just started to stand and cheer because no other real estate company in New England could have had 1,000 people in a room.
It was just simple dreamers coming together, sharing dreams, getting recharged at an event, and going back out and doing it again.
It was all done with a grassroots approach. One sales associate joined us at a time.
In the beginning, there was no lead street. There was no design center. There was no national advertising. There was no satellite. There was no delivery of educational offerings or promotion.
But education is power. And it is the person that has the power that gets ahead.
I just think back on every year we went to a convention, And Lineker would give us the marching orders. This is where we're going. It wasn't just a motivational speech, it was a new idea. We were going into a new direction, whether it was satellite network and we were going to preach education, or it was the affiliation with CMN or the Susan Komen Foundation. It was always something new that we could take with us to, grow the company with, and it worked.
The region plays an important role too, and the region has evolved just like we've evolved. I mean, Bill Soderoff and Chuck Lemire and now Jay, they've all contributed, but each one seemed to just go up a little bit higher.
Everyone wanted the region to succeed and grow, and you felt that. So you felt that each successor was the mantle that they were inheriting was a positive one, and it was a good one.
Well, I can't say how proud I am of our agents. In this tough market, we've been in it for 3 years now, and our agents continue to grow. We have an office up in York, Maine that went from 20 producing agents to 45 over the last year. We have an office in East Hartford, Connecticut, who started last year, 10 months ago actually, with 5 agents. He's grown it to over 22 agents, and #1 market share in East Hartford, Connecticut. Our agents are top of the line. They're the best of the best.
One of the things we try to do when we go to these conventions is to learn as much as we can, but we also set time to play. And whether it's a golf trip or it's a canoeing trip or jumping into canyons or whatever it might be, it always seems to be an adventure.
We've done skydiving, we've done ATVs. It's just a load of fun.
And if you really want an adventure, go golfing with Dave Onicelli. I bet you he didn't tell you his golf story where he forgot to set the brake on his golf cart. And not only his clubs, but his partner's clubs with his tuxedo for that night awards was in the golf, rolled down the hill into the pond and sunk completely out of sight. David just can't imagine how that could happen, of course. And one by one, the club head covers are popping up to the surface. And because they finally pulled the card up, and there's his name with all the mud and everything all over it. But you try to keep it light. It's not an easy business. It's a tough business. And we work hard, and we like to play hard.
We've had conventions where 20 agents in our office have come. And it's just a great bonding experience as well. And it's added a whole dimension to the franchise aspect, and it makes you feel proud to be part of something that's much bigger than yourself.
At the very core of RE/MAX, people are still humans. And what I'm so grateful for, that after all these years, is the richness of the relationships. That there's the pat in the back, the handshake, the hug, the kiss on the cheek, those very touching human encounters. And I think that's what defines us more than anything, more than all the razzle-dazzle of the events, the fact that we're humans first and we really care about what each other does every day.
Once the RE/MAX spirit gets in your blood, gets in your heart, gets in your soul, it's a very hard thing to step away from if you've been in the industry for a very long time.